So what do Ukrainians hope will come out of today's visit? Oleksiy Goncharenko is a Ukrainian MP with the European Solidarity Party. Mr. Goncharenko, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate this.
Thank you very much for your invitation.
I want to start by asking you what message today's visit sent the Kremlin and Vladimir Putin?
The message is very clear that Putin will lose this war, and there is no fatigue in the West, and the West will be with Ukraine as long as it takes. So it's much better for Putin to stop the war now, before the disaster happens. So better to start everything, to finish everything right now, and that is in his hands.
Do you see a change potentially this week? And I say that because that symbolism of having the U.S. president there, and you're saying that is a clear message. Do you think he will act on that message that will be sent?
Well, we will see very soon, but it's up to him. The best option he has is to listen to this message, to stop the war, to get out from Ukraine. He will still control 1/7 of the land mass of the planet. What's the problem? So if he will decide another way to continue the war, I think that him and Russia will receive a disaster.
I wanted to ask you what was more important today, the symbolism of having the U.S. president visit Ukraine or the $500 million in military aid that President Biden has promised to deliver?
Both are important. That's a full choice. For us, it's important a new package of support. At the same time, the fact that President Biden came to Ukraine exactly at the moment and in the head of Putin, that would be a time for preparing a military parade on Krещатик, commemorating the first anniversary of his great success. But at the end of the day, in 1 year, he has just big losses. Russia is in disaster, and in Kiev is President Biden. What can be more powerful?
Now, Ukraine has asked for fighter jets, but Western allies have been reluctant to even discuss that. You were at the Munich Security Conference just last week. Did you see any progress on the conversation of fighter jets to Ukraine?
Absolutely. I posed a question to Prime Minister of the UK, Rishi Sunak, openly, publicly, and he answered on my question, saying that the United Kingdom starts the training of Ukrainian pilots. That is the most important, because without training, for us, these new Western, modern fighter jets is just a piece of metal on the wheels. So that's why it's so great that the United Kingdom shows leadership and will first start the training of our pilots. That's a very huge step towards the delivery of this weaponry to Ukraine.
It's a huge step, but when will the jets come? Did the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom say anything about that?
No, it will take months. What we need today, which we can use right now, is in long-range missiles, because we have launchers, HIMARSes, we have a trained crew. The only thing we're lacking is the long-range missiles themselves. So that's one of the topics that me personally, I raised during the Munich Security Conference, trying to push our allies to do this.
Now, there are concerns that China could send weapons to help Russia. How worried are you about that?
I am worried about China. China is definitely, they're more neutral, but at the same time, neutrality towards Russia. May they come into the situation with the ammunition? Unfortunately, yes. That's why I appreciate that what is done by the United States to prevent this.
But what is there left to be done diplomatically now to make sure that China doesn't go and fully support Russia? I know you're saying that in a sense that they've been neutral but kind of siding on the side of Russia here. So do you think that there needs to be more work done on that to prevent China from really sort of entering the fray and helping Russia?
Yeah, we need to do more, but at the same time, the final decision will be in the hands of China in any way. But we need to show to China they're doing like this. They're moving their country. Also, they're joining the losers because Russia is loser. If they want to join loser, that's their own choice.
Now, I wanted to ask you, because it's been nearly 1 year since this war started, and in that time, Western allies have been able to help Ukraine keep going here. Are you worried that it's going to be hard to maintain that support for longer term? Because once we get beyond the 1 year point, that is still a critical time. We are expecting that Russian spring offensive. Are you concerned that the support will not be there for the longer term, even in the months and even 1 more year?
It's not a question of to worry or not to worry. It's not the question to be concerned or not. That's the question of job. That's something which we should do because we have all clear arguments which show to American people, to Canadian people, that this war is much more wider than the war of Russia against Ukraine. This is the war which will define at least next decades coming and the first half of the 21st century. This is the war of dictatorships against the freedom. So that's why it's so important. And that's what we need to explain to people. And if we will explain it, people will understand it and will support Ukraine.
How much longer can Ukraine go?
We'll go as long as it takes, because for us, it's a question, it's existential. Russians are committing genocide on the occupied territories. I have two sons. So if I don't want my sons to be killed or to be taken to Russia in order to make from them Russians, I need to fight till the end.
And do you think that it will last longer, another year, a year beyond that, do you think?
I hope that will last not so long, but I'm ready that it will last as it will last.
Mr. Goncharenko, thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate this.
Thank you very much.